Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we're going to be sitting down with Vincent daily to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing. We have Batman: the movie, directed by Leslie H. Martison. We have Pontypool by Bruce McDonald. When Evil Lurks by Damien Rugna. And finally, newly released, now in theaters, Joker: Folie à Deux, directed by Todd Phillips. So we've got a great array of films here. Let's sit down and hear what Vince has to say about it. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Daily, how we doing over there, buddy?
Tommy boy, how's it going?
It's going okay over here on this side of the table. How was your week of movies, man?
Week was all over the map. This was definitely a weird week. I intended it to be a weird week, but yeah, I kind of didn't expect it to be as wide a range of scores as we get.
Yeah, well, you did give us a weird list of movies. You surprised me on two of these. So one, when you texted me the list that you were doing the original 1966 Batman, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. And then you gave me two films that no one's ever heard of, called Pontypool and then When Evil Lurks.
Yeah.
When Evil Lurks is some Argentinian film from last year. I was like, what is he doing to me? Yeah. Not a single, I think, and by the way, Pontypool and When Evil Lurks, except for besides maybe two names, not a single credit, not in the cinematographer, writing, actor, director, film editor, not a single credit has ever touched our database before.
Okay. So maybe we stay away from indie films.
No. I like it. I'm just saying that's how much we don't know about this movie.
Yeah. Well, I was definitely interested in it from like a, it's 2023. I mean, we could have easily stumbled across this in our normal movie watching.
Yeah.
But
quick flick down to Argentina to find out what's hot, in that genre.
In the horror, in the supernatural horror. Listen, I was definitely not regretting one of those, and it was When Evil Lurks. That was a hell of a movie. I can't wait to talk about it.
Okay, cool. And then, of course, we have the big one for the week, which is Joker: Folie à Deux.
Yeah.
Which is the talk of the town.
Oh, boy, is it.
Yeah, for good.
I've had to really get around spoiler mines. I mean, I saw it on Friday, but there's just a lot. There's a lot of discussion about it online, which is just like, I wanted to stay pure with the review.
For sure. Because it's for good and bad, / like a lot of anticipation for this film. Lot of anticipation just because of how good the first one was.
Yep.
I mean, the first Joker was... It still is the highest grossing rated R film of all time.
Okay, I thought it was knocked out from...
super impressive.
Well, I thought it was knocked out by Deadpool and Wolverine.
You know what? You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, it did. Okay, so it was.
The former highest grossing, yeah.
Yeah, for a couple of years.
Yeah. Which is a good 5-year stretch.
Oh, for sure. Very impressive.
Oscar-winning,
Wait a second. Was it number one?
I think it was.
So when Passion of the Christ held that for the longest time.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then I think it went Joker. Yeah, and then now it went to Deadpool.
We need a comic book version of Passion of the Christ.
No, we just need the second Passion of Christ,
Oh,
which is technically in filming right now.
It works.
Actually, that'd be funny. That takes down the Joker.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get started here, any opening notes, Vin, or we want to jump back to 1966?
We're jumping back to 1966. I don't think I could summarize all four of these movies in any kind of neat way. So, and certainly not Batman the movie.
Yes, we are going to Batman: the movie from 1966. Vin broke a rule right before we started recording, and he goes, "Did you end up watching anything this week?" And I had to tell him that I watched Batman the movie. he was ecstatic about too.
Yeah, I was stunned by it. A little like kerplow came up above my head.
Batman the movie, directed by a guy named Leslie H. Mordison, and this was actually his biggest year, I think, as a director goes.
Oh, really?
1966 was Batman the movie, and he came out with Mission Impossible film as well.
Wow, interesting.
That's
you know what's? I can't wait to
boy.
talk to you about the connection to Mission Impossible because it feels like the villains have like fake stages, very a la Mission Impossible. They try to like gaslight.
It is. It's Mission Impossible It's Bond-ish.
Yeah.
But let's jump back to 66. I'm not familiar with the show at all at this time because this movie came out just weeks after the show ended, I believe,
Yes.
or a certain season ended.
Bingo.
So why don't you break this down for us? I love how you just went in for this one.
Just went in
Joker
for it.
2 comes out. You know what? Let's just take it back to its roots.
Exactly.
Why don't you break down the film and we'll take it back and forth here.
Yeah, so looking back at some past episodes, I really wish I would have saved the Laughing Man for this week, lining up with October and everything. But I wanted to cover something Joker, but not the obvious picks, and mainly something I've never seen before. I really want to watch movies that I just have not seen before this month.
Yeah.
A while back, this movie was lovingly provided by producer Matt D. Not really knowing what episode I was going to throw it into, but the day has come.
And he got 2 for 1. He got me on this one, too.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be ecstatic.
Yeah. From my understanding, this is just one big episode of the original show from the 60s, helmed by the wonderfully hammy Adam West. This aired right after the first season of the show wrapped and didn't wait for the huge run of 120 episodes of the show to end, unlike a lot of what you get in 60s television where they use their movies more as farewell goodbyes for fans. Think of the original Star Trek movies for that reason as
MASH,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I forgot. Big fan of MASH. I guess between the two of us, we like 60s television.
Well, don't forget, Chuck Connors, the Rifleman.
The Rifleman.
The Rifleman. Starring Chuck Connors.
Going into this, though,
I think that's 50s, by the way. I'm not.
Oh, no, I think it bleeded into 60s.
You're right. I think it's actually 59 to 63, I
Yeah.
want to say. Sorry, go ahead.
But going into this, I was just hoping for a so bad it's good contender, and oh yeah, this might be the clearest spig ever.
Oh.
This is spig incarnate.
20 minutes in, I'm thinking, well, this is so bad it's good.
Yeah, for real.
Blam. I mean, this is woo.
It is something else. Interesting enough, the film does open up with a blurb kind of thanking the audience as fun lovers everywhere. And this got me thinking a lot about how intentionally this leans into camp, even by 1960s standards.
Big time.
Yeah. The question with any spig is it in on the joke? And I think this blurb proves yes. The movie is clearly stating that it's not taking itself too seriously, and its objective, above all else, is fun. I feel like also there is a layer of, like, among all these 60 television shows that we've referenced so far, Batman was and still is kind of a kid's property, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So there has to be kind of an innocence to it. It can't be too, any kind of dark. Not that Batman by even 66 was anywhere close to the dark Batman we get in modern Batman.
Yeah, it shocked me with how campy it was and how much it knew what it was.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to just get cheesy 60s. Everything, I mean, the costume is ridiculous, yada, yada. But I have to say, I'm glad to see how much it knew what it was.
Yeah,
and it just from the get-go, I was like, this is pulling something off.
Yeah.
Almost a la...
I was thinking Austin Powers.
Okay, I was about to say...
Yeah.
I was thinking Austin Powers.
We're lined up. That's perfect.
Austin Powers is a very, in my opinion, very good movie. Very funny movie.
Yes, genuinely funny.
This isn't quite there, but... Adam West has a smart intelligence to him that he is letting the audience know, I am being silly right now, but I can turn it on when I need to, but I know I'm being a fool.
Absolutely.
It goes a really long way.
There's a moment, too, where he's reflecting on, his Bruce Wayne persona kind of coming through Batman. He's just, he stops and he's like, and put on the bat cuffs. It's just it's so good.
It is. It's comic. I mean, some of the writing is actually kind of witty and quick.
But
Adam West, by the way, he's doing. I'm just going to let you go to it. But Austin Powers too, a little bit, because I was thinking, because there's moments where he's, of course, in normal costume, where he's just Bruce Wayne, and I'm just like, this is kind of like a Bond movie right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially gadget-focused Bond. This has a lot of gadgets.
Right.
Oh, my God. Batman the movie, or often referred to as Batman 66, is a scrambling crime adventure that sees Batman and Robin take on the full rogues gallery of comic book villains come to life on screen. It's a real A-list group of villains here. You get Penguin supplying a penguin-themed submarine and pirate henchmen for some reason. Riddler has a silo of rockets to send out his riddles. Catwoman uses her feminine charm to seduce as always. And Joker, well, disappointingly, Joker kind of just came out as, like, not really adding much at all. He just kind of cackles and...
I thought he was okay.
I wanted him to be at least like... There's a lot of plans that happen in this movie. A lot of hatched plans from these villains. And it's just like Joker always felt like he was just like along for the ride with it. So, I don't know.
Okay, I thought he was unique. I thought he was okay. I thought for 66, he's pulling off some creepy vibes, kind of like a British... that guy from Clue, almost.
Interesting.
I don't know. I just thought... I didn't think he was bad.
Are you talking about Tim Curry?
Yeah.
That guy from Clue. Wow. But these four villains, they hatch a plan to capture Bruce Wayne to lure out Batman, unaware of the irony of their scheme. But like I said, this is just one of many plans concocted in a dizzying hour and 45 minutes of the film. This includes dehydrating henchmen, exploding sharks, and many more that will have you on the floor holding your gut from laughing at it. This was just really something else. But one of the hardest pills to swallow was the Bat Gadget galore that has kind of faded slightly in modern-day Batman. This list is legitimately endless. There is a bat ladder, shark bat repellent spray, anti-penguin gas pill, bat cuffs. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yes, it does.
The sheer confidence the writers had to come up with what are basically loopholes in their own writing is like incredible. Like, it's really like big balls move of these writers. Like, who gave them the gall to do this? For some reason, the set design has shelves and props named everywhere. I don't know what that was about. Like, there are actual signs hanging below everything that tell you, oh, this is like Riddler's riddles or Joker's jokes or this is the Bat analyzing computer and whatnot. It's just like, was this something from the show? Like, I really don't know. So not sure what that's about, but boy, oh boy, there is just a lot of vehicular scenes in this. The budget went to the vehicles. And the most infamous among these is probably the Bat Bike, which allegedly would release Burt Ward, playing Robin, loose from the sidecar of this motorcycle without any safety precautions. It's been documented that the scene that we see, the couple takes that they did with that, he would just like ram into the helicopter. It was like there was no precautions. It was just literally like a cart let loose from a moving motorcycle. It was great.
What was your favorite vehicle?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you. Definitely, probably the Bat helicopter, just because
you like the helicopter.
That blade on the end just looked very dangerous. Like it was like exposed.
I thought, well, the car was sick. I got to be honest with you. I was even looking at the car. I was googling in the car how much it sold for.
Oh,
that shit. I don't know. For me, it might be the speedboat. I don't know. The boat was probably a lot of fun on the boat.
I will say with the car, people complained about the Batman, the Pattinson one. About the car looking too real. I have a bone to pick with that because that's done by like a really cool like visual designer. But the original Bat car here, it's just a Cadillac. It has Cadillac fins on it.
Well, it's a Lincoln. I think it's formed off of a Lincoln, but it's cool because it's off a Lincoln prototype.
Oh, really?
And then they retrofitted with all the cool Batman stuff on it. Like a rare property, but functional. I like the Bat then. I like the Batmobile then, and I like the Patterson one.
Yeah.
But I will carry that torch. I don't give a shit about it.
Yeah. I don't know how people shit on that. This was a pick this week for Joker, though, and I was excited to see Cesar Romero being the first on-screen depiction of the character. That excitement quickly ended the moment I saw they just painted over his mustache. Like, you tell me, no quick shave? No.
I don't know. I liked it.
It was just like, oh, come on. This was a Blu-ray copy of all things, so I don't know, maybe I was too high def. Maybe you just...
No, I noticed it.
Okay.
It's there.
Yeah. It is unreal. All of the villains are just delicious garbage, especially in the planning they do. I think watching this, especially these, like, let's hatch a scheme type of scenes that we get.
Yeah.
I think I see a lot more what Joel Schumacher was going for, a lot better, I should say, in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin after watching this.
Oh, okay.
The hamminess of those films, obviously very hated, kind of a hot topic of when it comes to Batman Forever being the tipping point of Tim Burton's Batman into Joel Schumacher's Batman. But I kind of see what Schumacher was going for if his only sole point of reference were the show and this movie.
Yeah. Which is just a ham fest. It is a massive ham hoagie.
Yeah.
And you're just gnawing on it.
Ham hoagie. I love that because, like, it's so true. Like,
it's ham and cheese.
They just put these four people in a room. They're just, like, laughing, and, like, it's just...
It kind of works because it knows how ridiculous it is. Like, I think my two favorite was Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, and then who played the Penguin? Burgess Meredith as the Penguin.
Yep.
Just how much his teeth must have been hurting by trying to keep his cigarette filter constantly pointed straight up.
Yep.
Frank Gorshin was reminding me, I thought he was great. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, is this a famous actor that's doing just the most hammy kind of job right now? It reminded me, you know who I wish kind of played the Riddler here?
Who?
Because it reminds me so much of Jim Carrey's Riddler.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, big
especially the
time.
tight spandex.
Even the suit, yeah. I thought Fred Astaire could have made a phenomenal Riddler. Literally.
I would have loved that. But also by 66, like, he would have taken any
was
job
around.
probably. Yeah.
He was alive for 22 years after this.
Oh, that would be truly something special.
The villains in the room, it was like, I don't think we could say how much ridiculous this movie is.
Yeah.
But it knows how dumb it is.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich watching this movie, and I just thought the two were just made in for heaven. It's like a 6-year-old kid plop me in front of the TV and watch the most ridiculous thing.
Absolutely.
My PB&J.
I also want to put on record that I don't think, and I think I'm probably on the same page as you, I don't think Adam West was a terrible Batman. Certainly not the Bruce Wayne side.
Gotta tell you, he really turned me around.
There was something to it, like, kind of made me want to see, like, I don't know, Adam West really isn't in other stuff, but there was something to it here.
He could have been the Bond before Sean Connery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
His Bruce Wayne is good.
Yeah.
His Bruce Wayne is just like, oh, he can act.
Yeah,
Like, it's
exactly.
not, you know.
And there's also, like, there's a juggling of the different personas. It's not just, like, the same person. Like, you look at some Batmans, I would say Michael Keaton Batman, and they're the same. Bruce Wayne and Batman, they're kind of almost identical. Here, there was a definitive line between the two, which was good to see.
Yeah.
His acting is totally on par for Shatner in the original Star Trek, and I'm just 100% on board with that. That was great. There's many aspects of this that had me dying, but the camera work might be the best part. The cameraman has to be stoned out of his mind in this. Anytime we are in the villain's lair, there was just the most severe Dutch angle imaginable.
I loved it.
It was like this 45-degree cock. Like, at first I thought it was like, oh, they're on a boat, so like clearly that's like the bow or something.
No,
like
evilness. Even Dutch angle's supposed to make you uneasy.
Yeah.
You know?
And this planning committee, this collection of villains, boy. It was something else. I mean, no more than 2 villains on screen, no less all the 4. And that means you get a crazy hard 45-degree angle to the to the camera. It is something else. I would say, folks, this movie broke me, though. Like, it really, really broke me. It was exactly when the Riddler launched a missile. It explodes in the sky, and 2 separate whole ass riddles are written in smoke in the sky.
It doesn't explode in the sky. He draws with the he controls the rocket into letters, man.
That broke me. Personally, like, that broke me. I said, okay, all bets are off. This had me seriously thinking that it was going to get no score and just the spig.
Right.
It was that. Like, I had that
Actually,
much
kinda,
hard
yeah.
of a time of, like, wrapping my head around of what was going on screen. But now that I think after digesting the experience of Batman 66, I think on some level, as a huge fan of Batman Forever, I'm open to silly elements in my Batman experience. It's also a concept I would love to hear from our audience about, especially with James Gunn potentially making his own Batman alongside Robert Pattinson's Batman to fit into the DCU. Does that Batman come with more of a Bat family that's been kind of slowly being reintroduced in comics? Does that come with a silly Batman, potentially? More gadget-focused? I don't know. And I don't know, what do you think about that, Tom? Especially after watching this, can Batman ever be silly again? Or do you think maybe even in general movies could ever be this earnestly campy again? Or?
I think it would have to take a visionary director much better than a
TV.
What's his name? Not Tom Glass.
James Gunn.
James Gunn is going to take something more than him. I not only are we oversaturated with Batman, people don't even like the Robert Pattinson one, I think, because it's just like, do we need another Batman this quickly after Batfleck?
Yep.
And
Batman.
adding another one on top of a Robert Pattinson,
isn't that crazy?
We're flooding the zone way, way too much that I don't think it's going to be in anyone's appetite at all. I'd love to see it return to something ridiculous and give us a pow kind of old school comic style funness to it. I think it's possible. I don't think we're anywhere near that, though.
Yeah. I think we're maybe a good 40 years from maybe the cultural turn being significant enough to allow for that level of camp. But interesting. It's just it makes me think like this is not that long ago. It's very long ago. I mean, it's like,
but the roots are
80
here.
Years. But yeah, exactly.
The roots
it's
are
still
here.
Batman. It's still the property.
My roots are buried here, as John Wayne would say.
You had to squeeze that one in. Realistically, though, I do think, like, filmmaking-wise, what I would actually compare this to, it is very, very bad. And unless you're in
movie.
on the joke or deeply inebriated, it probably isn't a watch for most. But like the film said, for the fun lovers out there, you have a so bad it's good movie that deserves to be on your watch list. We're going to go ahead and give Batman 66 a 30 on the dot, and boy, just the biggest big stamp imaginable.
30% with a big old spig. Excellent. Really like that score because you're right. It is a terrible movie. But ever so delicious in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
And I have to say, that's what, like, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, peanut butter and fluff to this. That's what it deserves. As you're an adult,
wow,
just sit down and just be. I mean,
that's what we got to do for all kids' movies.
I just have to say, first 5 minutes, there's just a shark that launches onto Batman's leg, and I'm sitting there with my PPJ, and I'm going, "Oh no, Batman!" Like I'm speaking with the movie. Like, what are you gonna do?
That's incredible.
And
also talk about that scene going on just for way too long.
long.
Oh, that was an eternity.
I'm not going to disparage Mel Brooks by saying this is on the level of silliness of Mel Brooks.
Okay.
But I know personally I'm not the biggest Mel Brooks fan for most of his films, where it's just a little bit too silly for me and things like that. This is over-the-top silliness, but there's enough wit and acknowledgement that it is a dumb movie that I tell you, we can hang out with it. It's allowed. It's allowed to hang out with us.
It's allowed in the party,
right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was getting: a Mel Brooks silliness, and yet a wittiness at the same time, where it was holding its own in a way. Terrible movie, utterly wonderful. 30% and a spig, Vin, very good. I'm not going to give it 2 shoes.
This I think would stretch what that Tommy flip flop to 1 shoe no lace means. You know, what is the range there?
Yeah, and of course we're changing things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there's no more 0 shoes.
Right.
So the lowest rating is a flip flop. So Horizon Part 1 goes from 0 shoes to a flip flop. Lowest rating.
There it is.
But the flip flop, I think, is too harsh for this film.
Yeah.
It is too harsh.
Yeah.
This probably would be somewhere a 1 shoe no laces. But
maybe laces tied together. weather.
Oh, that's very good, Vin. But no, it doesn't get anything. So we're going to take a big old jump now, Vin, to 2008. This film is called Pontypool, and this is an American film, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Canadian.
Oh, maybe, because it's technically not rated. If it were to be, it would be rated R.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But anyway, take us back to 2008. What is Pontypool? What is it about? Why does it exist? And most importantly, just tell us about it, and then how'd you like it?
Yeah, well, this is the first...
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. To go back to Batman, it is too long, that film. It is 15 minutes too long, to the point like I'm checking my watch and being like, yo, this is a dumb movie, ended at an hour and 30. Please chop 15 minutes off.
I think that 15 minutes is probably found between the shark scene and then also in the rehydrating of the senators or whatever, the world leaders. There was just too much lab time between Batman and Robin.
Could have seen more Catwoman, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Catwoman's good looking. Okay, but anyway, Pontypool is a quick hour and a half horror
breezy
film. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, this is the first in tackling some of my horror list, and comes from an indie IFC production. In countless ways, this feels like a throwback in the sense that 2008 is actually a throwback now, but also to how indie films were made back before the 2010s. It's also funny that our next film, being a modern IFC Shudder release as well, feels like it's on the opposite end of the spectrum of that and could fit into almost any era for how it is presented. Horror-wise, Pontypool has a radio studio setting, and reminded me of one of my favorite horror short films, AM 1200, directed by David Pryor and also released in 2008. So maybe, I don't know, radio was just big in 08. But sadly, going into this film blind resulted for a miss this week, even if it meant getting it off of my ever-growing horror watch list that seemingly just like it is a monster in itself. Pontypool is a horror mystery that forces its characters to react to an unraveling crisis in real time without having many clues to work with. Mazzy in the Morning is a radio show of a shock jock DJ recently fired from his FM radio job and now demoted to a dull time slot, I believe even on AM. Grant Mazzy and his two producers are held up at the radio station in a blizzard when a mysterious event with endless conflicting info breaks out in the small town below. But as it turns out, the radio station just might be the safest place to be right now, as hordes of people seem to be altered in some way by sound itself. On probably the worst day he could imagine, Grant must try to make sense of what is happening around him and come to the realization that the path forward makes no sense at all. This movie, sadly, wasn't very good. Like I said, it's a miss. You roll the dice sometimes, on checking out a new movie, but there are some interesting tension. There's some interesting tension created from a kind of a hysterical event going down as we're mid-broadcast. It's a good elevator pitch to it. The mystery of puzzling together the shit hitting the fan literally while it's hitting the fan, that's what this movie's about. And was tense and certainly had me hooked for the runtime. And really, honestly, even as answers are revealed, while they might not be the most satisfying, setting the story in a radio station was an interesting writing choice for where things ultimately go. It really felt like they sat down with this concept for the script and saying, okay, what is the most interesting setting that we can box this story into? I do like it for that reason. Sadly, the writing, followed by the acting, is where this all kind of crumbles apart.
Kind of like C, not even B movie, C movie.
Yeah, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, the actor that plays Mazzy, Stephen McHattie, I would say he was pretty good in this. His radio persona was pretty awesome, and a strong main character to have for our story. Lisa Hula, on the other hand, she plays the older producer in the booth and flat out annoying for the kind of derailment that she gives. It derailed my experience watching this, and really she derails the the experience of the movie itself. The issue is that she's so clearly written to spin the wheels on a plot for longer runtime. While things are spiraling, the script doesn't necessarily have a problem with asking logical questions or problem solving in the mystery to keep us interested. But for almost every moment like this that comes up, her character is just a distraction, both within the plot and also takes us away from what works best in the movie, the horror. I mean, it's a horror movie. This gets very frustrating when the stakes of the crisis are just escalating further and further, and her character seems to be just there to pad things out. Pad things out on already a breezy runtime. This is not a long movie, and that was already kind of stretching its concept thin. Overall, I would say some parts are interesting in that elevator pitch. Like I said, I think the setting is a good example of a sharp choice in the script. And there might be a handful of these type of aspects, these details sprinkled throughout the film, but it mostly fails and falls apart at the end. And unfortunately, in a big way that I'm going to say was just not worth your time. I think this was a classic case of a indie script being stretched to meet some sort of feature length, and probably should have just stayed on the boilerplate as the Twilight Zone idea it was meant to be. We're going to go ahead and give Pontypool 2008 a 28.
Wow, 20, that's bad, Finn.
Yeah.
Sounds like a snoozer a little bit, huh?
Yeah, well, the thing is, while I didn't know the answers, I was kind of on the edge of my seat. I thought there was an interesting kind of interplay of wow, these guys, they have to report on the news. They don't know what the news is, and there's just a lot of conflicting info of what the hell is going on
of the outside world, and you're stuck in with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just
interesting
by
concept.
the end, just kind of crumbles.
Wow.
Crumbles almost in every way.
Might have been the fastest review we've ever had.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of worth it, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think that was actually a pretty solid review, I have to say.
All right,
28% is a bad score, I have to say.
Yeah.
When you're in the 20s, that's a bad.
Yeah, I don't think the film, because of its indie production, deserves me really taking out every knife.
No.
on it.
It's a small IFC film.
Exactly, and small when IFC was small themselves. You know what I mean? This
much
is
smaller back
2008. They don't have Shudder under their properties.
Yeah.
But there's something there that was just man, it really just wasn't worth it, and probably not worth it to initiate watching the movie either.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of want to maybe keep in the back of our heads as a compilation idea, not on the site, but to maybe start to tackle movie-wise, I think there's a whole subgenre here of radio. Radio studio films. I think Mel Gibson, speaking of Mel Gibson, was just in one.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Good Morning Vietnam.
that would be the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
That'd be cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Although I'm talking heavy radio-based ones.
What's heavy radio?
AM 1200.
Oh, sure.
Okay, then we have this one.
Yeah.
We have this the Mel Gibson one.
He just came out with this?
I'm telling you, they're out there.
Radio drama subgenre.
But, okay, so that's Pontypool, folks. Pontypool. Okay, all right. I think based on a book, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was based on a book. By
Interesting.
the writer Tony Burgess, I think, wrote a book by the same name.
Oh, okay.
And out of this film and book created, there's a world being, a Pontypool world being created now. I think two other films almost came out or something.
No way.
Or two more books came out of it, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
So it has some type of weird cult following.
Yeah, and I think that comes from obviously no spoilers, even for a movie I'm not necessarily recommending.
That's for
sure. There's something there that it's not what you think exactly it is. Again, there's a very interesting detail around sound and how it works in this horror. So.
Okay, well, all right. It's funny how positively we can talk on a 30% like Batman, and how poorly we talk about 28%. Back to back here.
And how, 2 points of difference, these two films could not be further apart in experience.
Well, with that, we're going to jump to a movie that came out last year. And I believe this came out in TIFF, Toronto Film Festival.
Okay.
And did okay. And I believe it ended up getting an American release at some point in limited theaters.
Really?
This is an Argentinian horror film. This one is an hour and 40 minutes. It's called When Evil Lurks. Original title, Cuanto en Sencha la Maldad.
I was the title is in Argentinian or Spanish, and I was waiting for you to attempt that. That was
Is
great.
that cuanto essentia?
I think it's
Cuanto essentia la maldad?
Speaking of compilations, I want a compilation of you pronouncing foreign words.
I always get it on the second one. The second one I gotta do it. I don't practice these, folks. This is all happening live for your entertainment. When Evil Lurks, or just, I'm sorry, When Evil Lurks.
Yep.
Not Where Evil Lurks. Those are two separate films that
Oh,
came out.
no way.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
mess
boy.
with this genre.
Oh, but it's a mess with this genre. He takes his...
As you said, another IFC, and this is a Shudder production. I'm going to rep it for Shudder. I was always aware when Shudder first came out, this tiny little horror streaming service. I have no business being on it, but I like that it exists. Let all you people go over to your own streaming service, and I don't need to be, I
don't need to be bothered with
be concerned with you or whatever you want. But Shudder was great. I know Elijah Wood was around during the beginning of it, which is why I had interest, and he had helped funded it, I believe, or did some movies that went on, some of the first films that went on there. And I believe Shudder/IFC has been crushing it. I think we covered 2 good films, one of them being Late Night with the Devil.
Absolutely.
And
the original Speak No Evil.
And you these horrible offshoots of streaming services try to make their own stuff. Always try to make fetch happen, and it never does. Shudder has been doing it for you class of citizens. So.
Horror fans.
Class of citizens. When Evil Lurks. Like I said, Argentinian film. I can't wait to hear about it. Vin, break it down.
Well, this was really, really fantastic. This is a Argentinian horror from last year. It got a lot of buzz and has been in my sights to cover on the show ever since. Director Damien Rugna doesn't really have an amazing track record, but at the same time, I'm not here to pass judgment on a region of filmmaking I have actually zero experience with, so I guess we'll have to get to Argentinian film at some point. It also goes to show sometimes you should just jump into a film because despite the other indie IFC Shudder, despite it being another indie IFC Shudder production, this was fantastic. I mean, really, really great. When Evil Lurks is a panic-inducing supernatural horror that will leave you stunned. 2 country brothers, Jimmy and Pedro, hear some gunshots in the woods and spirals them down an incredibly dark and grotesque journey. A sick, rotting man is cruelly left alive, seemingly possessed by a demon that is waiting to unleash its evil when the host is killed. Those who kill the demon will ultimately be killed by the act itself. There's a chaotic and almost unfathomable curse attached to this demon. When they bring this horrific news of this kind of rotting man to their landlord, I think it's his landlord, I don't know, he's not around for that long, he becomes enraged and they embark on disposing of this evil, but quickly they find the rotten has touched so much more than they could imagine, and it will take an incredible amount of willpower to do what is necessary to escape it. The film spirals into a jaw-dropping, helpless nightmare that was an excellent way to kick off October, and I highly recommend you do the same. Early on in the film, there's a line. The line is, "The church is dead," and it's very striking and kind of disturbing to come out of nowhere, but really nails how dark things get in this story. A kind of a shockingly bottomless pit of terror where this film will be willing to go. This evil in this is no holes barred. In many ways, this was a dream come true for me, feeling like a truly terrifying version of the chaotic spirits we get from the Evil Dead franchise. That there's always a goofiness, there's always kind of a twisted or ghoulish comedy to it. Here, it's just straight up, it's at that level of chaos, and it is something else. It is really, really, truly terrifying where things go here. That line about the church is also an interesting piece of world building, as not only does this Argentinian countryside ooze religion and superstition, many of the characters are well familiar with the curse of the Rotten One as well. At first, it was a lot to dive into, frankly, especially in combination with the subtitles kind of made me shockingly question, is this real? Is everyone just like up to speed on like, oh yeah, you don't touch the rotten one because then I just did not understand that it was going this deep this quickly. But man, I can assure you the nightmare is real to this movie, and every ounce of superstition pays off because it seems like the only way to actually deal with the evil is, I mean, let's just say all of the above is kind of the only strategy they have. The praise I heard for the film was around the intensity and practical effects, and both are on great display a mere 10 minutes into the film. It's not so much like a gross-out horror and more grotesque. Like, for instance, folks, I really don't plan on covering the third Terrifier film coming out later this month, because that is clearly gross-out horror as a subgenre. That is trying to show you just, like, the most actual, not cringy, but, like, make you cringe in a way that you want to do anything but look at the screen.
Right.
That type of gross-out horror.
Right.
The objective here is totally different. The type of gross here is more so it's inflicting like true terror on the audience. It's really meant to disturb in a way that kind of shakes you. I want to say on this note, there is kind of a trigger warning that I think that comes with this, mostly because of how intense some moments get. So be warned, this is hardcore. Again, not exactly hardcore where Terrifier, Hostel, Saw, it's not hardcore in that way, but it's definitely hardcore as far as horror goes. This is not a beginner-friendly horror. So.
Okay, yeah. I think that makes sense. Now, this isn't, again, that classic... Is this jump scare horror? Is this spooky? This is like you're in it for a visual feast. And again, you're not, like you said, not Saw. You're not watching people torment other people.
Right.
This is more so just like a bloody, gruesome stuff is going on with these townspeople.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I mean, supernatural horror is very broad because it can encompass a lot of things, but it is supernatural. It's all around like demons and superstition and religion and feels, again, a lot to dive into because I'll be frank, I kind of had to almost rewind certain pieces and being like, is this character really saying this, or is this the demon saying this, or who is saying this?
Right.
But there is an authenticity here that you kind of come across and feels a lot at first to kind of juggle, but ultimately kind of feels authentic as well for its Argentinian origins.
How much is these practical effects doing it? Like, how much is this taking it to the next level? Because when you're dealing with gore and have practical effects, it can make you feel, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. This punches, and I'll say it again in a little bit, this punches way above its weight when it comes to these practical effects. So much so that this deserves every drop of praise thrown its way, especially for an international feature.
I'll tell you, I'm trying to look for the budget, and I can't find it. It's such a small-time thing. But
got to put it through the foreign exchange, convert the dollars. I would say, actually, the only area that had maybe a few touches that feel amateur are actually just found in the editing. There's a fair amount of car footage that is sped up, which is easy to spot and a little sloppy. But like I commented on at the start of Pontypool, this is on the opposite end of the spectrum of indie films and closer to something like the original Speak No Evil, where it punches way above its weight. Constantly, the reveal of scares will be handled in a masterful way that have a proper buildup of dread. I can reference one scene in particular, but I think it might be just the biggest spoiler because it works because you don't know it's coming. And even just referencing what the setup of the scene would be would really, really betray what is done to build dread in this moment. I think the best way I can kind of summarize my watching experience of this is, oh, no way. Holy shit, no way. And
that's cool.
I think that's great. I was very, very pleased with watching this. This was exactly what I wanted out of tackling some horror movies, specifically with Halloween coming up. I would say, folks, if you enjoyed 2018's Hereditary, which itself has kind of held a certain crown in the horror community for years now, I've never really connected with that film too much. We've commented on that when we've covered Ari Aster stuff, but I personally think this knocked it out of the park. this might not have the strongest themes or time to marinate on kind of deeper moments, but what is gained is true panic and terror that, once again, was just bottomless. There was, I said to myself, I have no idea where this is going, and I certainly don't even have brackets on how dark this can get. As much as I loved The Evil Dead Rise last year, this no doubt would have shaken up my picks for Tom Daly Awards. Folks, I would advise you having some courage going into this one. We're going to go ahead and give When Evil Lurks a 79.
79%. Excellent score.
Really, really phenomenal.
Wow. I always mention almost every episode now, but if you're new to the podcast, 79% is a really good score because we say 65 is a good movie, 75 is a great movie, 80%, 85 is like must watch.
Absolutely.
79 is really good, especially for like a low budget horror film from Argentina. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what we needed. We've been watching so much horror, and we're so heavy on the daily ratings with it, and it's such your thing. Mm-hmm. We got to start going out of country.
I guess we do. I mean, sometimes that bites me in the ass. I feel like Possession and things like that. Sometimes they're like really out there.
Right.
But this felt something else.
Or the original Speak No Evil,
yeah,
which we just covered.
Very true.
Very true. Wow, 79%, Vin.
Yeah.
Sick. I mean, it's an hour and 40 minutes. So this is available...
it should be IFC, Shudder, both of their streaming services.
Does IFC has its own streaming service?
I think they do, or at least they're
connected.
Connected to Showtime, I want to say.
Right. So
one of them is the subsidiary of the other.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you get a Showtime bundle or package, yeah, you can get this on demand via IFC. Okay.
Yeah.
Or Shudder.
Yeah. Absolutely. Give him some love because I guess what's
Do you
impressive
subscribe to
there.
Shudder, man?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I got enough. But I guess what was kind of shocking to me as well is I did not think the scope of Shudder IFC, these basically horror specific type of production houses.
Yeah.
That they would reach international at all in this way. And between Speak No Evil and this, I see a lot of value in that, of them being the middleman to say, yeah, there might be some streaming schlock on those that are just like gore fests or slashers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they're also curating little nuggets, little gems like this, and I think that's particularly worth it as well.
I mean, think about look at Peacock's track record to doing Peacock-specific films.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
And what was...
Apple TV as well.
Yeah, as far as the movies go, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the film that we covered just a few weeks ago? Low-budget horror, and it was... the guy and girl hook up, and it's kind of a cat and mouse chase.
Oh, Strange Darling.
Was that IFC as well?
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
But really, really phenomenal.
You love that film, yeah.
Absolutely.
Even I had interest in that one.
Yep.
Wow, excellent, Vin. Excellent. So 79%, folks, When Evil Lurks. If you're into it at all, highly recommended. That's what a 79% is.
Absolutely.
Okay, and with that, folks, we're going to move on to our producer segment because we have a producer this week and a common producer, our good friend, producer Sean. He wrote in. He sent a movie ticket in for you, Vin, by the way.
Okay.
And he wrote a note in as well, and he goes, Mr. Vincent Daly, you deserve a free movie ticket to redeem yourself from the terrible megalopolis. You did say Shia LaBeouf was the best part. Can you please go into more details and how great he was? Would you see more of his movies now? Producer Sean.
Producer Sean's definitely our Shia LaBeouf stan.
First of all, thank you for your movie ticket, Sean.
Yes.
And thank you so much for the processing fees as well, for a total of $12.60.
Maybe a third thank you for listening to me rant a couple times over about this movie. Well,
you did say Shia LaBeouf was your favorite.
I did,
and I kid you not, folks. After the podcast was over, I said, "Were you just saying that?" And you were like, "No, I really think so."
I think the reason why I thought he was the best in Megalopolis is because I was horrifically disappointed with Adam Driver. I outright hated Aubrey Plaza and John Voight.
I pushed you on Adam Driver, though, I think, and you said most of all it was. You leave it up to the writing mostly.
Yes.
Adam Driver was given a shit sandwich.
Right.
And you can only...
And a lot to bear as far as, like, the...
He's a guy's main guy.
Yeah. The Atlas shrug of everything that that this tries to juggle. I would say 100%, though. Shia LaBeouf was the best because he was just a hammy villain. He was the only thing giving stakes to this movie about societal advancement. You know what I mean? There was actually something there of, like, well, if Shia succeeds, maybe he won't be able to build Megalopolis. You know, there was something there that was like, all right, this at least is anchoring us to some sort of normalcy, but also some sort of structure to actually, I don't know, make these the messages of the film hit. You could pin it on and just someone that is just outright evil. He's just clearly the antagonist all the way through. And heavy, you know, he was.
So
he dresses in like. What is it? Not Balenciaga, but he dresses in like Versace clothes all the time, and it's just like it was like that aspect of Roman type of stuff. Like it's just like, all right, I don't know. He's a playboy.
Were you? I had my own Shia experience actually over last weekend.
Oh, okay.
So while you saw that on Friday, I was out of the state, and I found myself in Portland, Maine, at night. And what was on HBO was they were going through the Transformer movies.
Okay.
I'm in a Transformer mood after Transformers 1, which was somewhat okay that we found and were surprised by it. I got to tell you, I was really surprised in the first Transformers as Shia LaBeouf. I thought he had comedic chops. I literally thought, I was like, he's good in this movie. Shia LaBeouf is carrying this movie. First half of that movie better than the second half. But even I was like, you know, I'm going to, maybe, do we have to watch Fury now? I don't know. That tank movie?
Yeah.
But
Holes?
What do you think of, well, of course. I mean, Holes is.
Listen.
I think Holes is Shia's second best movie of all time.
If
First is Transformers.
I don't. Oh wow! I don't want to get in the habit of maybe an actor 5-spot special, but maybe Shia has it in him. You know, maybe we could do a 5-spot there.
So maybe next film that comes out with Shia, you would be somewhat open, maybe. I think that's all that Sean wants to hear. That's what producer Sean wants to hear.
That's all that he wants to hear. He wants it to be on recording, a verbal contract.
Would it be Holes, Disturbia?
Honey Boy is the semi-recent one, I believe.
Honey Boy and Falcon something or another.
Oh, yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm
Honey
thinking.
Falcon Boy?
Yeah, I might be confusing those two.
He came out with two way too soon.
Oh.
No, you have Honey Boy.
That is him.
And then you have Falcon something or another.
Peanut Butter Falcon.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Aren't those the same movie? Like it really
that would be so
genuinely gun to my head. I don't know if those are two different movies.
Anyway, Shia, maybe he's not on the Shia shit list anymore. I don't know.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
But no, I will say I mean, very few things were actually enjoyable in Megalopolis, and I don't know, maybe it was a Stockholm syndrome. I was just grasping for anything positive to say, but Shia was legitimately like a campy villain.
Well, I have to say, and that's enough praise in order to have producer Sean come in and donate. Which is a real plus. So Sean,
I got the hooks.
Once again, we thank you so much, man. You producing all along here. We thank you so much for being executive producer of episode 155, man. Thank you for your movie ticket to Vin. And folks at home, if you're wondering what the hell's going on, or as you know the spiel, if you're a common listener here, Vin and I are going off the value for value model here at the Daily Ratings. So we're not going to have any advertising on the podcast or the website. Our content is also not going to be pay to access or pay to play, meaning we're not going to have tier structures like Patreon. We're also not going to have pay walls, like you need to pay to get information or our content. It's all technically free. But the idea is if you find yourself listening to the podcast and enjoying yourself here, if you find yourself checking out the website for movies to watch, we look at that as that's value in your pocket. And can you send us value back in our pocket? It's value for value model. How you do it is you go to thedailyratings.com and head to the donations tab. And through any monetary support, one, you show us the value you're getting. And two, you become an actual legitimate producer of the Daily Ratings. Because just like they do it in Hollywood, when you financially support a project, you're a producer of the project. So like I said, producer Sean is executive producer of episode 155. If you want to be the producer of episode 156, head to thedailyratings.com and go to the donations tab. There's some fun set donations, like everyone's been getting Vin a movie ticket lately, be a part of the Gum Club, become a Godfather, but a big value for value button there. You click that and you can put in whatever amount you want. Big or small donation, it does not matter. Whatever you can give us this week just means the world to us. And when you produce, when you donate in, don't forget to send your producer note along with it. That could be your questions, your comments, critiques, suggestions. It could be an Ask Us Anything. It doesn't even have to be about movies. But send in a note. And you can email us at tom.vin@thedailyratings.com. Email us there anything you have to say or ask. and you're good to go. When you produce or are a producer, we want to hear from you. We just don't want to give you thanks and move on. If you got something to say, we care about that. So, like I said, dailyratings.com, head to the donations tab. And, okay, Vin, let's move on. This is one of the most talked about movies of the year. It's finally here. Mm-hmm. It's coming out in the spooky month of October, which I think makes sense. As we said, the original Joker back in, 2017, was it? Or was it 2019?
2019.
Okay. So the original Joker came out, and it was supposed to be a one-time film. And then, as we said, it was one of the most successful rated R films of all time.
Yep.
So, of course, here we are in the year 2024, and let's come out with another one. Todd Phillips directed the original Joker. Todd Phillips, by the way, director of the hit comedy movies, the Hangover films.
Right.
Made a very serious film in the Joker, which Vin gave it a very good 77% on the daily ratings. Like I said, Todd Phillips is back for Joker. Folie, Deux. The second one here. A lot of anticipation for this film, so just get into it, Vin. Break this film down, and how'd you like it?
Well, suspiciously missing from the fifth slot of this week is, of course, Joker 2019, continuing the legacy of extreme acting performances, winning Oscars for everyone's favorite clown prince of crime. Like you said, Tom, we gave that a 77 pre-podcast, and while I thought it was a good movie, even a great movie, I just didn't have a huge desire to cover stuff I've rated already this month. I wanted to watch new things. Real talk, though, it also wouldn't make an ounce of difference because of the wild direction Joker 2, Folie, Deux, Electric Boogaloo has taken. Folks, in countless ways, this movie feels like Todd Phillips' reaction to criticism of that 2019 movie. And in even more ways, this feels extremely angsty and kind of brimming with a self-hatred of its comic book fan base. If the first film was torn to shreds by critics as a Scorsese wannabe with endless comparisons to 1976's Taxi Driver, as well as 1982's King of Comedy, both done by Scorsese, this, on the other hand, feels like a knee-jerk reaction to the critique. Like Todd Phillip and Joaquin Phoenix sat in a room and said, okay, you know what? F*** everyone. Let's make something beyond any comparison.
Was it that? I didn't realize the first one was that panned. I thought the first one was generally loved.
Yeah.
But it's got, I will say, even online, like it's on some sites it's very good, on some sites it's very bad.
Yeah.
I knew it had those critiques. I didn't realize it was that, like, heavy. Like, the critics not really like that film.
Yeah, I think it's hard because Joaquin still gets the Oscar for it.
Yeah.
So obviously critics are recognizing the performance, but yeah, that movie did kind of get chewed on release.
What did fans think of it?
I think fans universally loved it, and I feel like that's what's the tragedy here with Joker 2, because the fans suffer the most with this bizarre decision to go in such a weird direction.
Okay.
It clearly did affect Todd Phillips in some way, because this film feels needlessly contrarian, needlessly in a 180 degree turn.
Yeah.
Folks, regardless of the intention, the effect of this very unfaithful view on the Joker by comic book standards, and that was already skewed by 2019 Joker, it's an awkward shaped pill. It comes in probably the most awkward shaped pill possible, and is bound to alienate the main audience for this. And frankly, by the reaction to this online, it seems like the main audience was everyone. Tom, let me take a moment to pitch what I would do for Joker 2, even if it's for the birds, for imaginary Joker birds.
Yeah.
Something I forgot if I mentioned when we covered this movie, but I'll say it again here because it's probably the last time I'm going to ever pitch it. I say lean into the 70s ripoff trend. Don't try to make something different. It was a 70s film. Who cares what the critics say? Because 70s grimy Gotham was the coolest character in the whole damn movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That 70s approach, that take on Gotham, trash in the street, crime everywhere. It felt like a Gotham that needed Batman, needed someone to turn to. We have the burden of an origin story put out of the way. Let's see Joker in full effect, but also what maybe other Batman villains we see crop up in the city. My pitch here is just rip off the Warriors, beat for beat. Use the same 2-year time jump we have in this version. Let Gotham be filled with both minor and major gangs, all themed around their core villain. Like in Warriors, you get all these gangs. I mean, there's clown gangs already in the Warriors. It's real easy. And just make it this nightmare journey getting out of Gotham. You could have the Joker's inspires goons breaking him out in Arkham. Maybe Harley Quinn is there. They go do the same meeting of the gangs in the Warriors, and this movie is just a mad dash for Joker to escape alive. I'm telling you, that would be so great. Like, if I had the wheels, if I had it, I'm telling you, that would be the way to go with this, and embrace that 70s side. Even if you want these beats of like self-hatred this movie had, which is, again, really weird, you could still have the third act twist kind of be Joker running away from maybe his own goons being too reckless. It would be perfect, but ultimately for the birds.
It is. That is one for the birds.
Yeah, that's for the birds. So,
okay. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I didn't see this film.
Yeah.
Can I just toss out what I vision this in my head?
Sure.
Okay, I see this as a Joker version of West Side Story.
Oh, I wish. That sounds great. That sounds awesome.
It's a musical. Yeah, the love interest of Lady Gaga.
Yeah. I wish. I think that sounds awesome too.
Okay, so we didn't get the Warriors, and we didn't get West Side Story.
No, we got something.
Where did we land on?
Beyond comparison, by intention from Todd Phillips. So, and I'll tell you what, Joker Folie Deux. Actually, what it actually is exactly half a musical, half a courtroom drama, and 100% not a comic book movie in the slightest.
Okay. Vince's worst nightmare, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's real rough. When I said nothing is like this, I really do mean it. Right away, that is made abundantly clear with a Looney Tunes cartoon that this opens up with about the Joker and plays before the film starts. Kind of think like Pink Panther cartoons playing before movies.
I was going to say, like that interlude in, that Ari Aster film with Joaquin.
Yeah. Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Maybe not too far from Beau is Afraid. Both very messy. This Looney Tunes cartoon serves as a recap, and I would say a needless recap, because so much of the courtroom side is going over the events of the first film. This Looney Tunes bit is going over the events of the first film, and again, because of this weird mean streak of self-hatred this movie has for its 2019 prequel, man, it just feels like it needlessly rakes over every event of that 2019 film. Arthur Fleck is waiting to get judgment on his case in Arkham. Many of the guards there having a cruel relationship with him, sometimes being civil and other times beating him to a pulp. While in Arkham, he meets the love of his life, Lee Quinzel, a Joker fanatic that has been one of the many swept up in the madness of the last 2 years that the clown has been missing. With his trial date finally on the horizon, Joker fever has not stopped climbing, with a TV movie made about him, Chief Prosecutor Harvey Dent using this case as a political platform, and maybe most of all, no end to the anger of people suffering in Gotham. When Arthur Fleck's lawyer has a pretty decent shot at getting him rehabilitated on the basis of that the Joker was a split personality in the moment, it seems the other side of that coin has something to say about his own case, and say it he will in song. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. While I was questioning if calling this a jukebox musical, as it was originally kind of pitched as by Todd Phillips, I was kind of questioning if it was just a lazy excuse to cram a bunch of songs in the film, like some mutated Suicide Squad syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that, though, right? Yeah.
No. I mean, music might be part of the jail program that Arthur and Lee meet under. For a while, I just wasn't convinced. And that was until the first real-ass musical sequence with the Joker showing This movie is going all in on fitting into that genre. From Fred Astaire references, a lot of Fred Astaire references. He goes, uh-oh.
For you.
He's like, it's been going to like this movie just because Fred Astaire is in it. Maybe. No. To the importance of the romance in the story. It really is, I guess, maybe a third juggling act to it is about this romance, most of all. The genre of a musical is paired with this, I would say almost classically, in the sense that the idea of Joker falling in love is a musical because he is just bursting with emotion he could only express in song. I think what defines a musical is that when the characters can't express emotion in any way, they burst into song.
Right.
Yeah. And here, it's absolutely that. Arthur Fleck, throughout the entire film, if anything, is beaten to a pulp and kicked on the ground after being beaten to a pulp. The depiction of him as a mentally ill man is taken to an extreme. Certainly that's the point of the first film. Here, more than ever, it seems like he is not mentally fit to do anything, no less express his emotions to a woman. So the film continues on this path for about 1/3 of its runtime, blipping us in and out of reality and into these musical dream sequences as Joker falls head over heels for the soon-to-be Harley Quinn. In this section, and realistically the entire film, we get really heavy-handed writing that just feels a good decent bit worse than anything to come before it. I mean, like anything that I've even seen relatively from Todd Phillips. A good example of this are guards saying, "Oh, hey, Joker, tell us a joke," and giving him a cigarette if he makes them laugh. This happens a lot in the movie.
Kind of like that. I don't know.
You kind of on board with that?
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that.
Well, that's all right. It's just all over. It really is just, it's kind of beating you over the head with a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I think in a lot of ways, the writing is on the walls for how bad this movie will be in some of these moments. Less and less does the movie try to continue the first message about mental illness awareness. And more, it becomes about people's interest in a freak of society. Kind of the morbid curiosity society has, whether they want to see someone get beaten down or the kinship of other freaks in Gotham, finding themselves in Joker. That's, I don't know, not a terrible angle to go about it, especially in just a 2-year time gap between these stories, but it really loses its way very quickly. Sadly, the story takes a big dive once we get into the courtroom, as it offers...
You're kidding me, huh?
Yeah.
Vin, you weren't loving the courtroom?
Oh, you weren't liking Harvey Dent trying to be a real lawyer in a fucking comic book movie? It really just offers neither any sort of realism to give stakes or have any fun as well in the courtroom, as events of the first films are dragged out again and again.
Wow.
Joker is just kind of, because it's about, the first film, the crimes he commits.
Also, you don't need to go see the first one then.
Exactly.
Just, no, get your ass in the movie theater. You don't need to see the first one if you didn't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's the bullshit of the Looney Tunes bit being a recap, a needless recap.
Oh, right, yep.
It's this entire courtroom scene is a recap. It's just like, it really is. That is an element of like where it's like, nah, forget about the first film. Mm-hmm. Todd Phillips feels almost, again, angsty about his own movie.
Very interesting.
Young Harvey Dent was something I was a bit excited to see, but unfortunately he becomes just kind of a non-character due to the theatrics of the courtroom. He is a character that should be almost the antagonist of the entire story, but becomes muted in Joker's loudest scenes. This mind-bogglingly includes a Southern lawyer routine that was probably bad enough to take Joaquin's Oscar away from him entirely. All of these moments that you get Joker kind of maybe living up to some theatrics in the courtroom, it completely robs Harvey Dent from having any stakes because any cutthroat prosecutor would be objecting the hell out of him, and literally to oblivion. You know, he wouldn't have a chance to speak. Mm-hmm. The main chunk of the film is this trial, though, and only broken up by these fantasy musical sequences. The issue here, and this is really the boiled down issue to this film, for me at least, is that these musical sequences are all in Joker's head. However, they have the most visually. The most is happening in these scenes. You see iconic Joker setups like the full white tux. You see the best moments of the film. Not saying that I really love the musical side of this, but the most exciting,
visually striking.
Yeah. The most imaginative moments. And when they're all over, they aren't the slightest bit real. We are constantly being jerked backwards again and again in the story with these fake outs. And, you know, I personally am kind of in a love-hate relationship with it was all just a dream trope. I mostly lean towards not liking it. But it really is the core problem here because, in actuality, very little happens in the real world. Very little happens for real plot beats that are not in Joker's head.
Interesting.
And that creates a unsatisfying and kind of inconsequential experience. It's kind of like see it or don't see it. You know, it doesn't matter because
totally understand that,
the story doesn't matter, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's that jerking motion, you know. We'll get a moment that Joker expresses his emotion and awakens, or even one dream musical sequence is done in the courtroom, and it's like, oh, is this the moment that something's happening? And it's not just a bad courtroom trauma. And no, it's all a dream. And a lot of the film operates like that. We're just constantly always taking a half step backwards for every one of these musical sequences. I think overall, this was very disappointing. Disappointing to very disappointing. And had me floating in the range of scores we call the puddle. Joaquin, his physical transformation is still amazing. You know, let's not forget, he got the Oscar for this same role. And his drastic transformation reminds us why he was good in this piece in this movie series in the first place. I mean, his take on Arthur Fleck and the Joker, it's something else. And there are some magic moments captured in that same way that I say, oh, well, it's still Joaquin. He's still kind of killing it here. But at some point, this loses the point of what the first one was supposed to be about. And the huge opportunity of the sequel to this world to build on 2 years later as a premise for your story, it really, really flubs any opportunity with that, and instead comes out as just like this self-hating piece of saying, oh, you like Joker 1? Well, guess what? It's all garbage anyway. And it's like, what? How is this the experience of this movie? How does I think it's $55 million for Joker 2019, how does that get ballooned to $20 million and you decide to sink it? You decide to tank your own movie like this? I don't think it's ever been done before. Mm-hmm. Like, Todd Phillips is making history for a very bad reason, but making history nonetheless. Maybe worst of all, though, folks, it really does miss the point of that original film. And it's a shame because it doesn't seem like Phillips, Joaquin, or anyone involved kind of understands the magic of what they achieved that first time around. Where the experience of that 2019 film was expecting violence and getting some sort of message about mental health and kind of a quiet and soft movie, it's curious how this film thinks the sequel to that story should be giving into that violence and almost say nothing with the time we've had on screen with this character. We're going to go ahead and give Joker Folie Deux a 44.
Oh, 44%. I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
Yeah, I debated 50. I was at 53 for a while.
44.
But this was also, I mean, I'll be honest, there is much more savage hate for this online.
I
felt kind of slightly affected by it in the sense of like, yeah, I mean, maybe the musical was like really unacceptable.
Look, going into it, you were worried. It's not like you didn't have your guard up a little bit.
Yeah.
You weren't thinking you were walking into a sub 50.
No, because again, even to my point of it was at somewhere in the 53, I said, well, it's still Joaquin. Like, he's still killing it. He lost all this weight a second time. Like this is like Mechanist level skinny.
Right.
Like this is really, really something else. But I don't know.
It really doesn't hit.
It really doesn't hit. I also need to illustrate that it's just like I don't recommend the movie. It is on the south side.
Well,
of
that's
50.
a huge element then.
Yeah.
When you brought up the Todd Phillips thing, what, 20 million?
So Joker 2019 was 55 million, and this was 200 million.
Okay, you said 20 before. Okay, budget 200.
Yeah, 200
The
million.
first one was only 55 million.
Yep.
Wow. And this
So-
one did have a big budget, which I don't think it might get, by the way.
Yeah.
It didn't have the open. It had a lower open. Number one in the box office, but that meant nothing this weekend. It wasn't a good weekend.
Yeah.
I
I mean, people, and especially comic book fans, they're calling this worse than Madam Web.
Oh, come on. I mean, that's
I think that's a
absurd.
little bit absurd, yeah.
You have one good actor. Well, okay, now Our Lady of Gaga. I mean, come on. How was Lady Gaga?
Kind of a letdown. I mean,
She's my dark horse. Is that the right word?
Dark horse in the race?
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
She's my Seabiscuit. Yeah. In cinema, she's my female Seabiscuit. I think she's a great.
You're rooting for her.
I think she's a great. Well, not only rooting for her, but I think she's just that good. And
Yes.
people kind of forget. So, for instance, I
Right.
think she's great in A Star Is Born, which you have not seen
Oh,
yet.
sure, yeah.
And then I think she's really good in Adam Driver, Gucci, House of Gucci.
Right,
But
right.
she's phenomenal in that film.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
she's got chops, and I kind of like her work ethic actually in her life. But Harley Quinn,
More so, again, the film is very directly about Arthur and kind of poking fun at Arthur, saying, "Oh, how weird is this man? To put on clown makeup." It doesn't have time to embrace a lot of her side because
isn't she in it a bunch though?
she is in it a good amount, but she is a Joker fanboy, as Harley Quinn is in the comics.
Right, yeah.
In the story. So I don't think she was given a lot of agency. That is except for the musical sequences. I would say she didn't really sound anything different than Lady Gaga, but there was at least, obviously, the talent was shown
Punched
there.
a little bit there.
Exactly.
So right now, if you had to say who makes a better Harley Quinn, you would still go. Jeez, what's your face?
Oh, Margot Robbie.
Yeah, Margot Robbie.
I don't know.
It's tough. I know. It's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah. I'll go with Batman animated Harley Quinn.
There you go. Very good. Okay, all right. 44% for Joker. Folie. Deux. All right, Vin. Wow. Looking at these scores here, anything you want to add on, touch on, anything coming up next week you want to let the people know about, or roll credits? What do you want to do here?
Well, next week there is a lot of possible new releases. I think the only one we're going to cover is Saturday night.
Kind of excited for it.
Yeah.
Let's go see that together, actually.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Other than that, though, I mostly want to keep the week clear to fit in the horror films I really want to get to, and I've been wanting to get to for a while. The week after, we're probably going to do a special. The week after that, we're probably going to do a special. So October, like last year, is going to really slip away very quickly. So.
Want to tease some out for next week?
As far as horror films?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
if you want to keep it close to the belt if you want. But,
well, it's more so I don't know how some of these are going to be. They may be cuts.
So what's potential here?
I think potential is Saint Maud, director of Love Lies Bleeding. It's her first film.
Cool, okay.
Revenge, director of The Substance, first film. Oni Baba, a movie that's been on my list. It's a 60s Japanese horror. Willem Dafoe says it's his favorite horror movie.
I'm in.
So,
I am in.
I'll
What's it
go
called?
with
Holy
that.
Baba?
Oni Baba.
Oni Baba. Nani? Okay.
Nice. The rare anime knowledge that that Tom flexes occasionally. He'll sometimes compare people to Piccolo. He'll sometimes he'll throw out a random Yu Yu Hakusho reference. It surprises you. It really does.
Wait, what is Nani? Isn't Nani?
Nani's
just-
like a question, like what?
Yeah.
And then the last slot, this one's really up in the air, is Faust from 1926. The reason why I'm doing this is because I saw that apparently this is a visual inspiration for Nosferatu, the one that's coming out in December. So apparently a lot of like shadow work in this movie. Again, I don't know, but
Okay, I mean that's sick, Vin.
yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds like a solid list for next week. Actually.
yeah, these are all like they're in bold on the horror list because I wanted them last year, pretty much. I mean, except for a couple, but yeah, this was really
Cool,
I'm
man.
excited.
Cool, very exciting. Even got my ears are perked up on that.
On you people, this
So.
Class of citizens. Horror fans.
Okay.
Happy Halloween, folks, by the way.
Hey, all right. So, Vin, thanks so much for watching these. Folks at home, we'll run it down one more time here. We've got Batman: the movie with a 30% and a so bad it's good. We have Pontypool with a 28%. When Evil Lurks with a big 79%. And then Joker, Folie, Deux with a 44%. Not the best bell curve here this week we got, or however he's called that, whatever it is. The average is not the best.
Yeah.
Folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week here. As always, we'll see you next time on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. And also, the Daily Ratings is completely producer-supported. We want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in any of the things that we're doing here at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com, and while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast.